Hello everybody, this is the Traditionalist and welcome to another video. And today I will be talking about the sad decline of Christianity in the United Kingdom. So the United Kingdom obviously once used to be a great and powerful Christian nation, but nowadays it's the complete opposite. It's not great. It's not powerful. Well, okay, it is sort of powerful, but nothing compared to how powerful it used to be. And it's certainly not Christian. And so we'll be seeing how and why Christianity declined in the United Kingdom. So, to be honest, actually, unlike in a lot of other places in Europe, the decline of Christianity in the United Kingdom has actually been going on for a much longer time. But also, unlike in many European countries, this wasn't brought about by a violent revolution like the French Revolution or the Russian Revolution or just communism in general, but was a slow and gradual process that has been going on for over a century. So we'll start looking at some statistics. Now, actually, surprisingly, in 1900, only 31% of British people were actually Christian, and or at least the adults. I mean, I guess they're not counting children, so it might be a little higher, but still, yeah, 31%. And so you might be saying, how is that possible? Only 31%. Well, the reason I'm saying that is because I'm basing this on church attendance and not just claims. Because you see, you have a lot, most people in the UK still say they're Christians, but in reality, they never go to church. They probably never pray. I mean, I think church attendance is the best way to find out who's actually Christian. Especially back then, because I mean, you'd have no reason not to go to church. But the reason I say that is because just belief obviously is not good enough because you can say you believe something, but then you don't actually do it. Praying, yeah, praying doesn't really require much effort, and that's not really a regular thing. And yeah, so, and in terms of belief, well, like, I don't know, believing certain aspects, like believing in the Trinity, believing in resurrection, all that kind of stuff. Well, I mean, we don't really have statistics for that back then. And so I think church attendance is the best way. Because I think, honestly, if you really are a Christian, not only will you believe in Christianity, but you also go to church because you know that there you're taught, there you're having fellowship. You know, that's something almost all real Christians do. Okay, so now with that out of the way, let's look at some statistics here. Okay, so in 1900, 31% of the British population was Christian. In 1920, that reduced by 1% to 30%, so I mean, it wasn't really declining that much. Then by 1940, however, only a quarter of the population was actually Christian, 25%. In 1960, this had dropped to 18%. By 1980, this had dropped to only 13%, so only 1/8 of the population was even Christian. 2000, this dropped to 9%, and now 6%, or only about 1 out of every 16 people in the United Kingdom, is still Christian. And now, of course, there are the official statistics, but even those are showing the same trend. So in 2001, 71% of people in the United Kingdom claimed to be Christian, while in 2011, only one decade, that dropped by 12% to 59% claimed to be Christian. And so, you know, it's almost a decade since then. So who knows? It's probably next census in 2021 will probably only say something like 40%, maybe even lower. Anyways, this is also shown by the census, which shows 2001 23% were atheists, and that jumped to 32%. So once again, increased by 9% 2011. Okay, now let's look at some other statistics just to prove what I'm saying. So according to the British Social Attitude Survey, which it would be more correct since this is about people, this is a survey more, direct, and it's not just about what you claim, but other things like that. So, according to that survey in 2016, 53% were atheists, and according to another survey done in 2009, 42% were Christians. Now, according to the European Social Survey, 52% of British people um, were atheists in 2008, and 42% were Christians once again in 2009. Now, according to a study jointly conducted by London's St. Mary's University and the Benedict XVI Center for Religion and Society and the Institut Catholique de Paris, and based on data from the European Social Survey from 2014 to 2016 among 16 to 29-year-old British people, only 21% were Christians. According to a YouGov survey in 2012, 76% were not very religious. According to a Tear Fund survey in 2007, 66% had no connection to the church. According to 2002 survey, 2% of people, only 2% of people in Manchester actually go to an Anglican church on Christmas. According to YouGov and Eurobarometer in 2011 and 2010, 66% don't believe in God. And according to a European Social Survey in 2008, 46% never pray. Now, I know those were a lot of statistics, but I just want to show all those to show that the actual data, the actual thing, because if you look at the survey, you say, oh, 59% are Christians, so there's still a majority. But then if you look at it, it's actually only 6%, so only a tenth of the people who actually claim to be Christians are Christians. And so obviously, as you can tell, Christianity has really declined in the United Kingdom. And now just some last final statistics. So in 2013, 40% of British people think sodomy or homosexuality is good. And obviously, unless those are all the atheists, which I doubt is all the self-proclaimed atheists are saying this. I'm pretty sure a lot of the so-called Christians are saying this too. If you are a Christian and you're saying that, that goes completely against the Bible, because nowhere in the Bible does it say sodomy is good. Now, 11% only think religion is very important, and only 5%, or 1/20th of the population, consider themselves very spiritual. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of how the United Kingdom became so atheist. So, I guess you could trace it really very far back to 1841, when Charles Southwell publishes the atheist newspaper, The Oracle of Reason. A decade later, George Holyoake coined secularism as separation of church and state, and the Leicester Secular Society was founded. In the 1890s, secular associations such as the Union of Ethical Societies and the Rational Press Associations were founded. However, what's important to know is, despite all of these, changes, the majority of people were still Christians. All of these secular associations, those weren't really affecting the average person. Just a couple of rich intellectuals, and most people were still Christian. However, that started to change in 1903 after Queen Victoria died, and after that, religion slowly started declining in the United Kingdom, not just among the rich, but among the people in general. Now, in 1906, the Liberal Party won in a landslide under Henry Campbell Bannerman, thanks to the support of Protestants. But this was the last time that the Liberals would win in a landslide, and I'll explain that why later. So in 1914 to 1980, as you probably already know, there was World War I, and it was really after this time that irreligion, atheism, started accelerating. So after that war, Anglicans stopped talking about hell, and this is a major turning point because that's really when the Anglicans started losing a lot of their members. Now, obviously, if you are a religion and you abandon one of your most important values, one of your most important beliefs, the existence of hell, then if you're going to abandon one of your most important beliefs, then honestly, what's even the point of being, belong to that belief system. For example, if I'm Anglican, right? Which I'm not, but if I'm Anglican and I, you know, believe in the Anglican Church, but then after that, the Anglican Church starts telling me that one of my main beliefs, which is the existence of hell, doesn't actually exist, then why should I? I mean, if that's wrong, then who knows? They could probably be wrong about a lot of other things. So you can't be a religion, abandon one of your main beliefs, and then still claim to be that same religion because you're not. Anyways, in the 1920s and 1930s, that's when the Protestants started declining in a huge number. And as I stated earlier, I'd explain why the liberals lost. Well, you see, as I said, the liberals, they were main supporters were Protestants, but after Protestantism started declining, I'm not talking about Protestant in general sense. I'm talking about Protestantism apart from Anglicanism. So more mainline Protestantism. After that declined, then the liberals basically lost their base, and they've never, yeah, in fact, they never won after World War One. So, anyways, during the 1920s and 1930s, most of the Protestants who had before worked as fishermen, miners, textile workers, or farmers lost their jobs, and their jobs soon became irrelevant. Now, a lot of them, because of this, had to find new jobs, and so they moved away. And because they moved away, they lost a connection to their community, to their families, and also to their faith. Now, because of this, there was a lot less enthusiasm and funding and more disinterest in the church. And in fact, churches lost a lot of members. Now, because of this, that meant that the Protestants who used to send their kids to religious schools couldn't send them anymore because there wasn't enough money to sponsor the religious schools. There weren't enough people going to church because most of them had moved to other cities and were no longer Christians anymore. And so, because their kids were no longer going to religious schools, this meant that they were increasingly becoming atheists. And so, I would really say that it's between World War One and World War Two when the big shift, really started. Also, at the same time, Ernest Barnes, who was an Anglican bishop of Birmingham, started preaching Darwin, which is completely opposed to Christianity, and even ridiculed many Christian beliefs such as communion and the resurrection. Once again, as I stated earlier, you can't have a religion and then just abandon your core beliefs. At this point, the Anglicans were not only abandoning um, we're not only abandoning the communion and the resurrection. No, not only abandoning hell, they were also abandoning the beliefs in the communion and the resurrection. And at that point, could you even really call them Christians anymore? I mean, if you're a Christian but you don't believe in the resurrection, you don't believe in communion, you don't believe in hell, what do you believe in? And you see, I think this is one of the main reasons a lot of people started abandoning the church, because if the church suddenly changes its beliefs, um, if it's not the same as it used to be, then there's no point of following that church because atheists also don't believe in the communion and the resurrection and hell. So it's much easier just to be an atheist at that point. Now, between 1940 and 1955, also there were atheist prime ministers, Winston Churchill and Clement Attlee, and during the 1960s, all across the Western world, that is really when atheism started becoming popular, when most people stopped being Christians, and when all that ended.